Sechta bava basra daf lamed ches amar aleph, starting from 6 lines from the bottom. Yesterday we learned when the Nadoi said Achalon Tzufin Ein Lechazaka, it doesn't mean Ein Lechazaka. It means Achalon Tzufin, if the trees were so pushed, cramped together, planted in a way that there wasn't 4 arms between each tree, then even though normally when you have 3 trees or more, you get the karka together with the tree, but in this case, you're not going to get the karka together with the tree, being that the trees were cramped together with less than 4 amas. So it doesn't have the din as Asdei Elon, in which you're supposed to be kind of the karka together with the tree. Asdei Elon starts from 3 trees and up. And even though he has more than 3 trees, but when he's not going to get the karka because he didn't do it in the way of a Asdei Elon, which a normal Asdei Elon has 4 amas around each tree. Amar Rab Zera said this Hayrah that the Rabbi said is really Ketanai, a machlokes of Tanaim. Like we learned, Kerem Shehuna to Apos Me'aba Amas, a vineyard that was planted, that between the shuris of the vineyard, the shuris of the vines, there was less than 4 amas. And normally you need 4 amas between each one. So Rab Shimon said, Einei Kerem. It doesn't have a din of like a Kerem, in which you're going to be Eivan Kilayim, Kilaya Kerem. And normally you have to plant the seeds of Tvua 4 amas away from the Gifanim, from the vineyard, but this is not considered as a vineyard. It's considered as a single vine, and there you only need 6 tvachim away. And you don't have to go 4 amas away, and you're not going to be Eiva if you go within the 4 amas up to 6 tvachim. You're not going to be Eiva and Klaya Kerem. Chacham definitely has a din like a vineyard. It's less than 4 amas between each shura. So he says, those shuras that are between and blocking the 4 amas between the shuras, those vines, we're going to make it as if they're not there, and we're going to consider it as a regular vineyard. Al said, by his day Elam, even though there are some trees, the trees are cramped together less than 4 amas. So those trees that are middle of the 4 amas, we're going to make it as if it's not there, and it does have a din of Zdei Elon according to the Chachamim, and you wouldn't be kind of the Dalad Amis for the trees, for around the trees, from the karka for the trees. Mashiach, according to Reb Shimon, no, it doesn't have a din like as the Elam, because it doesn't have the right distance between each tree. This person who sold a date tree to his friend, he's kaina, this buyer is kaina from the bottom of the tree till the deepest depth. And therefore, if the owner of the karka wants to dig even 1,000 amas under the tree, he's not allowed. So let him tell him that I sold you a saffron bush, a garden saffron, which your owner kaina the produce on top of it, the chayes he gets from the bottom. And let him tell him, take out your saffron bush once it's already done, well, the produce is ready, and that's what it is for. He sold him only for the produce on top of the ground. So let him do it with the decal tree. Let him be able to tell him, I sold you the decal tree just for the produce. Once it dries up, you cannot put another tree there. You're not going to from the bottom of the tree down to the depth of the earth. I never sold you that. I sold you the produce on top, just like by the saffron bush. Rather, Rava says, over here it's talking about that the Lekeir is coming with a specific taina. You sold me the saffron bush with the karka. You sold me the dekel, the date elam with the karka, and I'm here 3 years for chazak, and I didn't bother to watch my star because you were never meicha. So that's the case over here. That's why he's kind of the karka from the bottom of the tree till the depth, to the deepest depth. If he sold him just the produce on top of the karka, what should he have done differently? I mean, if he only sold him the produce, how do we stop this guy from being kind of the karka under it? He could always say he was sold the karka under it, and he has a chazaka, and therefore he didn't watch the star, and the karka belongs to him. And they want to know, he should have made a macha in front of two Eidim, saying, look, this guy, I only sold the produce on top of the ground, or the tree on top of the ground, and not the ground beneath it. And within the 3 years, even though he's collecting the fruits from the date tree as long as it's living, and he's making a chazak, but you come within 3 years and make a machal. He's only cleaning the produce till it dries up. The tree dries up. Once it dries up, he has to take his tree out of here. If you're not going to say that such a machal is a good machal, you might think the only type of machal would be a good machal if he tells him befedish that you're eating these pedish big zela. But if he's just telling him that he sees, you're allowed to eat here, but I never sold you the karka. The guy, it doesn't. That might not be considered as a good machal because the normal machal means that you're eating my pedish begazlanos. Says the Gemara, no, it is. We know the case of Mashkant L'Suda, which we had before, that the Chacham made a takana, that a person can lend money, $1,000, and to be able to eat the produce from the field, even though for $1,000, for 10 years, even though the produce of every year is worth 10 times more, we said it's not ibis. Why? Because he's doing it in a sale. Every year he deducts a mana from the chayv that he owes him, from the $1,000. He gets to eat the whole produce of that year. He's getting much more worth than a mana, but it's not considered as ibis because it could be he won't get anything. If the produce won't produce anything, even though normally he'll produce much more. But that's how he has it. He has it for 10 years, and every year he deducts $100. So over there it says the kasbei hachi. He wrote like this: when these years end, corresponding to the chayiv, and I deduct every year of the 10 years $100 till it reaches 1,000. Take out a dub like kesef. Then you get back your karka, and you owe me nothing, and it's not considered as ibis. So l'chayda ikavish l'ishtar mashkanta, if the one that lent the money will conceal, hide the shtar that it was only a mashkin. Brahman is going to say, I bought it. Because look, I didn't watch my star. I have it for 8-10 years. I didn't bother watching my star. He never was meicha. Are we going to believe him to keep the karka? Misakni abana milsad. They say that misakni something that could cause a person a loss. Here, it's causing him a loss. How is it causing him a loss? Even though they were misakin that shouldn't be ribas, because he's going to say he has a chazaka. And that's why he didn't watch the shtar. And he's going to be kind of the karka by concealing the shtar that was only a mashkin. Rather, he had to make a macha within every 3 years that it was only given to him against the $1,000, and he bought every year the produce. But once the $1,000 are up, it's my field. It's not his field at all. Even though he has a right to it, and he's not saying it's because Lonis that he was in the field, it's still called a macha. Here too, even though he has a right to the bush, to the saffron bush or the garden bush, as long as it's living, as long as it needs its highest, but he has to make a macha. He only was kained for the produce, not for the karka beneath it. The Mishnah is going to say there are times that the chazaka, that the Bala Karka couldn't make a macha, and therefore the one that was making a chazaka in the karka is not going to be considered as a chazaka. So it says the Gemara brings a case of Sholosh Aratzis LaChazaka. There are 3 lands which are considered as foreign to each other, and it's not going to be chazaka. Yehuda, Evayad, and Galil. Yehuda and Transjordan and Galil, which is in the north. So if the Balakaka was by Yehuda, the Hersik and the person who was making chazaka in the Balakaka's field was by Galil in the north, or by Galil, or the Balakaka was in the north in Galil. The Hersik and the one that was being machzik in his field was by Yehuda, even though he made a chazaka of 3 years without a macha. In a chazaka, it's not going to be a chazaka. And the reason for it is because they weren't traveling back and forth between Galil and Yehuda. There was fighting going on, and therefore there were no shayaris mitzuyas. There weren't caravans traveling back and forth, and to bring the message that there was a macha. So therefore, you couldn't make a macha, and therefore the chazaka is not a chazaka. Actually, unless they're in the same province, or like they're together in Galil in 2 different cities, then it would be a macha. When Yehuda. But in 2 different cities, and one would make a macha, then it would be a macha. Amar Rav Yehuda loy amru shalish shanim. Rabbi Yehuda says the whole reason why the Chacham made a chazaka of 3 years is not because of the star that a person watches the star up to 3 years. After that, he doesn't watch it. Al-Kidei sheyehei b'haspamya, that a person who's in Spain, which is a distance of a journey of a year, the yaksik, and a person will make a chazaka shana in the first year, and then it will become known that somebody is already there a year making chazaka yechu. So somebody from the city where he sees that that person is trying to make a chazaka will go to Spain. That will take a second year and notify the balakaka that this guy is making a chazaka shana. So he's going to be notified in the second year, and the owner himself will have to go back and make a machar in front of his face, l'shana acharis, in the third year. That's why we gave 3 years, not because a person doesn't watch his star after 3 years. Rather, the reason is because for the person to make the machar, that it should be b'fano, he needs 3 years. That the first year, the person is there in the field trying to make a chazaka, and somebody notices it, and that person will have to travel to the furthest place where our owner has normally karka. The furthest place is a distance of a year. More than a year, people don't buy karka for such a far distance. So this guy will notify the owner, which will take him the second year. And once he's notified, for the owner to go back, to be meich in front of the face of the machzik, that will take a third year. What was the svar of the Tanakama? Says the Gemara, is it when we said that if one is in Yehuda, if the owner is in Yehuda and the karka is in Golo, or the reverse, we said the chazaka is not going to be chazaka. So why is it not going to be a chazaka? Is it because machal shalei b'fanav havimacha? If you're going to say that one who's meicha b'karka, even if it's not in front of him, it's going to be chazaka, and it's going to help to be mevatel chazaka. Again, we said normally, if they're in the two cities in the same province, the chazaka will help, and he doesn't have to go in front of him. What's the reason of the Tanakama that if it's 2 cities in the same province, the chazaka will help? Because he holds machar shalei b'fanav havi machar. It helps to be mevatel the machar. So therefore, even while he was in another city, he should have made a machar. And even though he's not in front of him, we say chaver islay, and he should have watched the star. The one that was making a chazaka should have watched the star, because we say that word travel. Just like word travels between 2 cities in one province, even if it's between Yehuda and Golo, it should be a chazaka. It should help to be mevatel the chazaka. Why do you say it doesn't help to be? So why do you say it's not going to be a chazaka if it was the onus was on the Baal HaKarka to make a machar, even though it was shlei b'fanav, it would have been a good machar. You're going to say, if you're going to say because machar shlei b'fanav is not going to be considered as a machar, and that's why, even though if he would have made a machar shlei b'fanav, it wouldn't help. So that's why Yehuda won't help, because by going in Yehuda, you're making a machar won't help that for Gola, or rather you have to be in front of him. So even in 2 cities in Yehuda, the machar shouldn't help. So the masik shouldn't be able to have a chazaka. So why did Tanakama say if he was in the same province, the chazaka helps? And the reason why, why would the chazaka help? If you say machar shlei b'fanav is a machar, and he didn't make a machar, that's why the chazaka helps. So then by Yehuda Galil, the chazaka should help because he should have made a machar. And if you're going to hold that machar shlei b'fanav lo yam machar, so then even if they're in 2 different cities in Yehuda, he should the person, the balakarka's macha in one city shouldn't help for the other city, because the macha of the balakarka doesn't help. So therefore, the machzik, since he's in another city and his macha doesn't help, so then his chazaka shouldn't be a chazaka. Really, he holds macha shlei b'fanav is a macha. Mishnah Seinu kishas chedem don shanu. Our Mishnah, the Chacham of our Mishnah, is talking about when the Malchias were fighting with each other, Yehuda and Golul, and therefore there weren't caravans traveling back and forth. So if the Balakaka was found either in Yehuda and the Kaka was in Golul, or the reverse, it would never reach, that Machash Lebefana would never reach, because there were no caravans traveling. But if it was in the same city, and he would have made a Macha, so a Macha does help, and it would be Mevat on the Chazaka, and if he didn't make a Macha, then the person who was Machzik in the Kaka should be a good Chazaka. In fact, you want to buy Shno, Yehuda Begolul and Akil. Why do you have to pick Yehuda Begolul? All lands that have a chedim between each other, all countries that are not with each other, shouldn't be able to be a Macha. Why do you have to pick Yehuda Begolul? So if you want to Hakamashman, this is what the Mama has come to teach us. The Stam Yehuda Begolul, even in the time of Shalom, Kishas Chedim Dami, has a din like Shas Chedim that the Macha, if one makes a Macha in one of the places in Golul, and the Karka is in Yehuda, it's not going to be considered as Macha, and therefore, if somebody's Machzik in the Karka while one is in Golul and the Balakaka is in Yehuda, it's not going to be a Chazaka, because it has a din like Shas Chedim, and it's not going to be. So it's just like the Macha Shlei B'Fana wouldn't be considered as a Macha, therefore the Chazaka Shlei B'Fana won't be a Chazaka. One cannot make a chazaka in a property of somebody who ran away to another place because of money issues, and he doesn't have the money, so he ran away. When Rabbi Yehuda said, when he learned in Yeshiva Rav, and Rav had passed away, so Rabbi Yehuda came and said the thing that he learned in Rav, by Rav in front of Shmuel. Amalei, Shmuel said to me, he can't make a chazaka? What? The chilimchis befano? Who tzarich? Does he have to be making in front of the person who's making a chazaka in the kaka? We know a macha helps even if it's a shalei b'fnei hamatzik. So if the one that was fleeing should have made a macha, it doesn't have to be in front of the person who's making a chazaka in their kaka. And if he didn't make a macha, so then the din should be it is a chazaka. So if the mother comes out, according to Rav, you have to make a macha in front of the one that's being masrik, because Shmuel Paskin, it is a chazaka, while Rav said it's not. Says Rav, my kamashman, what is Rav coming to teach us? Macha shlei b'fanav layam macha. That it was a macha shlei b'fanav, it's not a macha, and therefore you can't make a chazaka in the nechasim of the one that's fleeing. Rav said the fetish. Rabbi Abba Bamamo said in the name of Rav that the Tanakama of our Mishnah holds that Machash Lebefanav Havi Macha, that a Machash Lebefanav is Macha. That's how he explained the Mishnah, that it is a Macha. So obviously Rav is holding the same thing. So how did we say that Rav will hold that he which means that it has to be that a macha is not a macha? If he explained the Tanakama of our Mishnah that macha really is a macha, and the only reason why it wasn't considered by Yehuda Begol a macha because they were in rift with each other and there were no shayos mitzvahs, but otherwise a macha shlei would be a macha. That's how Rav explained the Tanakama. Obviously, he holds the same thing. And we want to know, Rav, time the Tana they don't come upon us. Rav explained the Tanakama of our Mishnah, who holds really if it's two cities in Yehuda, two cities in Golul, even though he's in one city, he's making macha in one city, and the chazak and the kaka, the one who's being masrik, is in another city in Yehuda, it would be a macha. and if he didn't make a macha, it would be a chazaka. But that's how. But the Yehud would go. Why do you say it's not going to be a chazaka? Because the macha wouldn't be a macha either, because there are no caravans traveling. That's how Abba Bamamo said the name of Rav. But the Gemara wants to say Rav Tani they don't come far. Rav was only explaining the Tana of our Mishnah, the Tanakh of our Mishnah. But the lay, he himself, the Fetish holds, you have to make a macha in front of the one that's making a chazaka. He could the others say, no, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Machzikim b'nechse b'reyach. Faket, he's not a machzikim. He says one could make a chazaka in the chazaka of the one that's fleeing. Ki amrita kamei d'shmol. And when I said, when Rabbi Yehuda Amar said this halach that here in Rav, name of Shmuel, says Amar li pshita, of course. Does he then have to make a macha in front of the one that's making a chazaka? But what is that coming to teach us? It's a simple thing. That a macha is a good macha. Rav already said this once. So since Rav already explained it in the Mishnah that a macha shloi b'fanav is a macha, why did he have to say this din of nichse b'reyach that it's going to be a chazaka if he holds macha shloi b'fanav is a macha? Only this is what he's coming to tell and teach us. Even if he made a macha in one city in front of people that are unable to travel to tell the person that the balakaka made a macha, having macha is still going to be a macha because of the koil. Each one has friends, and the friends of friends it would get to him. This was explained through Shmuel that Shmuel says only if he made a macha in front of two people, able people, to go and give over the message of the balakaka, then it's a macha. But if he was making in front of two lame people who are unable to travel and give over the message, it's not going to be a macha. So obviously that was the Chiddush of Rav, because Shmuel disagreed that you cannot say it in front of people who are not able to bring over the message. Rav says, the Rav that says a macha in front of two Edom who are unable to be Maidiyah the Masik themselves, of the macha is a good macha. How? Why does it help? Because he says he says this person has a friend, and this friend of the friend has also a friend, and obviously the code will get out that there was a macha. Rabbi said, the halacha is that one cannot make a chazaka in the property of somebody who's fleeing. Why? Obviously he holds because the Bareach it cannot make a macha, and therefore because it sounds like it's not going to be up to be b'fanav, and therefore the chazaka won't hold. But then he passes into the faket. Macha shelo b'fanav have macha. If it was a macha shelo b'fanav, it is macha. So for these are two contradictory halachas. Because he said one cannot make a chazaka in the property of the one that's fleeing, because the one that's fleeing is unable to make a macha in b'fanav. He's not there. He's running away. He's unable to make a macha in front of the machzik. So that's why it's not going to be a chazaka. And then you say macha shelo b'fanav does help. So if it does help, let the Bareich make a macha wherever he is to be mevatel it, and to be mevatel the chazaka. And if he didn't, then let the chazaka be a chazaka. So it's two contradictory halachas. It's not contradictory. Here he's running because of money issues. He doesn't have the money, so he's not afraid. He's not a sakana, so he could, from a faraway place, make a macha, and such a macha would help. And if he didn't make a macha, it would be a chazaka. Kan, where we said that it's not going to help, that you cannot make a chazaka in the b'nichse b'reyach, and this halacha that Rav Paskin, that one cannot make a chazaka b'nichse b'reyach is b'reyach machmas marden. He's running because of murder, and he cannot rebuild his place, and he's unable to make a macha. So therefore, it's not going to be one cannot make a chazak in such a person's property.